Well, we hope you've been enjoying the first two segments with Heather Evans. We've been talking an awful lot about Confederate imagery, particularly in Abingdon, and her efforts to get these monuments moved down the road. And by the time you see this video, the town council will have met and made a decision, and it'll probably be ancient history by then, but we will have done our due diligence, I suppose. Heather, I don't know if you want to talk about these things. Do you want to talk about some of the maybe some of the frustrations you've run into with this? You know, any frustrations or disappointments this process has brought out?
Well, of course, there's the little bit of the frustration in that all that I've been trying to do is have a conversation, and there's been a lot of anger directed at me, which means that that deters people from ever speaking out, right? This is the reason that Black Americans have also been disenfranchised. The intimidation tactics, right? That I'll threaten you and you'll stop, or you won't speak. If I'm loud enough, then this isn't going to happen.
Which is exactly the message those monuments sent.
Yes. So, you know, I was surprised at the amount of pushback that happened immediately. Because again, this is a conversation. I don't have the power to remove and relocate these things by myself. This is something that would have to be a decision made by the Board of Supervisors. I am simply starting a petition. Other people are signing said petition, and then I'm making a case as to why this is the right time to do this. They can then take that information and then make a decision about those monuments. And so this is the legal way to do this. But even the legal way to do this ends up with threats and hostility and pushback. And I've been viewing this too as though the only time people react like that to just wanting to have a conversation is when they know that they're wrong.
Yeah.
So essentially words and voices have power. So if you speak the truth or whatever that is that you're talking about, if what you're saying makes someone uncomfortable, they need to get uncomfortable. They need to have this conversation. And that's all this is a conversation. I'm not knocking it down. I'm not throwing it in a river. I'm doing this the legal way and yet being met with pushback.
Yeah, you know, and I would add one thing to that. I tend to believe that when people respond that way, they also could very well imagine themselves losing, and that's pushing them in that direction. But yeah, you know, the idea of this conversation is important, and even if what happens tomorrow night is an immediate failure, if that, you know, nothing changes, we can look back at Mississippi, and I think in 2002, Mississippians by a 2/3 margin voted to keep the Confederate flag in the state flag.
Right.
And because of a handful of college football players last month, now Mississippi's going to have a whole new flag. That's the kind of, I guess that's the way you get the ball rolling, and to have these conversations and to get the right people behind them. And in a town like Abingdon, where you really do have a legitimate regional economic driver, that even if it fails tomorrow, it will not be forgotten.
No, it won't. And, you know, when I started looking around at the history of just anyone taking a stance on this or coming out publicly about this, there's very little out there till now.
Yeah.
And I've been viewing this as too, let's say tomorrow night I go in there and I talk about, you know, here's 1,900 people who said they are concerned about this and believe that there's a better place for these monuments. The Board of Supervisors are elected by these individuals, so they do need to hear this out, right? They do need to think about this and contemplate this and think about how those monuments existing in that space makes our community look. If they then decide, well, we're going to leave it where it's at. We're not going to move it. That doesn't mean that those who believe that it should be relocated have lost. We have started the conversation. We have moved the needle. We are moving forward in a way that there's now a historical record that this conversation has happened. We know how people feel, and then we build on that. Like, this doesn't need to be like, let's say they decide to leave it where it's at. It doesn't mean it's over.
Yeah.
Like you said with the flag, doesn't mean it's over. Maybe it just began.
Yeah, and and one of the things I think we are going to see, if we're not already seeing it, I think these sorts of moments encourage and embolden younger people to get involved, which it's easy for young people to be kind of apathetic when it comes to particularly local politics. I mean, it seems like most communities only have 3 or 4 people who are really actually interested in local politics, and everybody else ignores it. But these folks who are sitting in elected positions, they've got to keep in mind that they'd like to maintain their positions, and hopefully they can see that doing the right thing could have some real tangible benefit for them down the road.
It could, and then at the same time, some of their constituents are probably on the other side as well.
Yeah.
So they're also thinking about those that are going to be angry at them for wanting to relocate the monument.
Yeah. There's always 2 sides to that coin. I've really enjoyed our conversation. For the viewers out there, we've been trying to do this for about 2 weeks now, and I'm not busy. I've got all the time in the world, but now Heather's a very busy person, and every time we schedule something.
Constant monument meetings.
You were mowing grass yesterday, don't lie.
I was mowing grass. Yeah.
But we're going to watch very closely what happened with her meeting by the time you see this. And Heather, don't be surprised if after tomorrow I call you and say, can we do another 15 minutes just to talk about what happened at the meeting while it's so fresh?
I need to come over to the meeting.
I'm thinking about it, really. I mean, what else do I have to do? I can grab my face mask and I can go to stand outside.
If you wear camo, you'll fit in.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I may have some stuff around here. I don't know. We'll see. But listen, Heather, thanks so much. I don't know that we've actually formally met, but it's really great to have this conversation with you and get to know you a little bit. And this stuff will be on Facebook pretty soon. So, gosh. You already have such a high public profile. You don't need my help.
Oh, stop.
Well, hey, Heather, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.